All right, let's just jump right in. The whole idea of retiring in just 10 years. I mean, for most people that sounds like a total fantasy, right? Like something out of a fairy tale. But what if it's not? What if the secret isn't some complicated Wall Street trick, but just simple math? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to break down the real numbers behind it.
So this is the big question, right? How much do you actually need to put away every month to make this happen? We're not talking about the usual 30 or 40-year plan. We're talking about 1 decade. Now, I know what you're thinking. A lot of people hear that and just shut down. Impossible, they say. But you know, the real question isn't, is it possible? It's, are you willing to look at the math and understand the trade-offs it's going to take? You know, for as long as I can remember, we've all been sold on this one idea, the traditional path. You work for 40 years, you dutifully save a little bit here and there, and then maybe, when you're old, you get to retire. But there is another way, the 10-year path. And look, it's not some magic bullet. It's a trade-off. It's really about swapping that long, slow, 40-year marathon for a super-focused 10-year sprint.
Okay, first things first. We got to get our heads straight about what the actual goal is here. This isn't about being rich like you see in the movies. You know, yachts, private jets, that kind of stuff. No, it's about being rich in the one thing you can never, ever get more of, your time. The real prize here is freedom. It's the ability to wake up in the morning and know that your day belongs to you. So let's make this real. Let's put a number on it. Imagine you sit down, you get out a notepad or a spreadsheet, and you add up everything you spend in a month. Your rent, your groceries, your car, all of it. And let's say it comes out to $3,000. See that number? That's not just a budget. That's what we're going to call your freedom number. Because if you can build an investment machine that spits out that much money every month without you having to work, well, congratulations, you're free.
So how on earth do you build that machine? Well, the engine that powers the whole thing is compounding. The best way to think about it is like planting a tiny little tree. For the first few years, it feels, honestly, kind of pointless. It's just a stick in the ground. You're watering it, you're taking care of it, and nothing seems to be happening. But if you're patient, if you just stick with it, you eventually wake up one day and realize you've got this massive tree that's giving you shade and fruit. That's compounding in a nutshell.
All right, this is where a lot of financial plans kind of gloss over the details. They show you this perfect, beautiful chart of your money just going up and up, but that's not the real world, is it? In reality, there are these hidden hurdles, these invisible forces that are quietly trying to eat away at your money. And if you want to win this game, you absolutely have to know what they are. So here they are, your portfolio's 3 biggest enemies. You've got inflation, which is like a silent thief, just stealing the value of your money over time. Then there are taxes, which, well, they're going to take their cut no matter what. And finally, fees. They might seem tiny, but they act like this constant drag, this little parachute holding back your growth year after year. We have to factor these in. Okay, let's play this out. Let's say you find an investment, maybe an index fund, and it says it has an average return of 8% a year. And you think, wow, 8%, that's awesome. You plug that into an online calculator, and the numbers you see look fantastic. You start planning your early retirement party. But, and this is a huge but, that 8% isn't what actually ends up in your pocket. That's the sticker price. That's the headline number. Once those enemies we just talked about, inflation, taxes, fees, once they all take their piece of the pie, the picture looks very, very different. And here's the reality check. You take that 8%, then you shave off, say, 3% for inflation on average, then another percent or so for taxes, then maybe 0.5% for fees. Suddenly, your real return, the number you should actually be planning with, is closer to 3.5%. And that is the number that matters. That gap between the advertised number and the real one, that's where financial dreams go to die if you're not paying attention. All right, so now that we're armed with a much more realistic number, let's actually build the blueprint. It's time to figure out the big one. What is your target number? How much money do you actually need in your nest egg to hit that freedom number we calculated earlier?
And you know what? The math here is actually pretty simple. So if your freedom number is $3,000 a month, that works out to $36,000 a year. Now, there's a really well-known rule of thumb in finance called the 4% rule, or the safe withdrawal rate. Basically, it says you can pull out 4% of your total investments each year, and the odds are overwhelmingly high that your money will last forever.
So when you run the numbers, you take that $36,000 you need per year and you divide it by 0.04. And there it is, your target, $900,000.
To create that $3,000 a month passive income stream, you need to build a nest egg of almost $1 million. And I know, that sounds like a huge, impossible mountain to climb, but just hang on for a second.
Okay, this is it. This is the moment of truth. We've got all the pieces of the puzzle. We have our 10-year timeline, we have our $900,000 target, and we have our realistic 3.5% real return. So, what does that mean? How much do you have to invest every single month to make it happen?
And there's the number, $5,500. To get to that $900,000 portfolio in just 10 years, using our real-world numbers, you need to save and invest $5,500 every single month. Now, let's just be honest. For probably 99% of people hearing that, that number sounds completely insane. It sounds impossible.
And look, this is usually the point in the conversation where people just throw their hands up and say, "See, I told you it was impossible." But wait, this is not the end of the story, because you have two incredibly powerful levers you can pull that can change this entire equation. Here are your two levers of control. Lever number one, lower your expenses. It's simple, right? The less money you need to live on, the smaller your freedom number is, and the smaller your final target becomes. Lever number two, increase your income. If you can make more money, you can invest more without having to cut back on your life right now.
And just look at how powerful that first lever is. If you can get your monthly expenses down from $3,000 to $2,000, that impossible $5,500 investment suddenly drops to $3,700. What if you get really lean and can live on just $1,500 a month? Well, now you only need to invest $2,700. All of a sudden, we're moving out of impossible territory and into, wow, that's tough, but maybe.
And this is where the real number usually lands for people. It's in this kind of uncomfortable middle ground. It's definitely not pocket change, but it's also not win the lottery money. It's a number that's big enough to force you to get serious and make some real choices, but it's also small enough to give you a legitimate shot at this.
So, okay, knowing the math is one thing, but actually doing it month after month for 10 straight years, that's a whole different ballgame. It's a psychological challenge. And let me tell you, the secret to success here is not willpower. Willpower is flaky. The secret is building a system, a machine that does the work for you.
There's this quote that just nails it. Automation is your best friend. Think about it. An automated system doesn't get scared when the stock market dips. It doesn't get tempted to buy a new car. It doesn't get distracted. It has no emotions. It just executes. It does the job every single month without you having to think about it.
Okay, let's wrap this all up into a simple blueprint. Step 1, figure out your freedom number. How much do you need to live each month? Step 2, calculate your final nest egg. That's your annual expenses divided by 0.04. Step 3, find out what you need to invest each month. Step 4, pull those two levers, cut your spending and raise your income to make that number realistic. And then, the final, most crucial step, automate everything. Set it and forget it.
And listen, one last thing. Even if 10 years sounds just way too intense for you right now, the process is still the same. So what if it takes you 12 years or 15 years? That's still decades earlier than the path most people are on. The timeline is flexible. The process is not.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. 10 years from now, you're going to look back, and the question you'll ask yourself won't be, oh, did I invest the perfect amount every single month? Nope. The only question that will truly matter is, did you start?